In this chapter, we strip dimensional language of mysticism and use it as a practical framework for understanding perception, power, and control. This chapter clarifies what these dimensions represent, how they're misused to confine or elevate ego, and gives you a way to recognize where consciousness liberates you and where it quietly keeps you trapped. Chapter 7: States of Beingness. You've no doubt heard the term dimensions tossed around like spiritual seasoning, usually vague, fluffy, and divorced from anything you can sink your teeth into. The spiritual community loves to sprinkle it on everything. I'm in 5D now. He's stuck in 3D. We're ascending to 12D by next Thursday. I get it. It's catchy. It sounds advanced. And yes, I suppose I'm technically a card-carrying member of the woo-woo set myself. That said, I have no patience for language that can't be explained without a decoder ring. I'm interested in dimensional frameworks because they offer a way to describe the evolution of consciousness without resorting to religious dogma or New Age platitudes. More importantly, they help us track where we are on the spiral out of enslavement and into sovereignty. 3D, 4D, and 5D. These three dimensions aren't physical locations like houses you can move into. They're states of perception, energetic bandwidths. While the scale goes higher, far higher, these three are boots-on-the-ground battleground for most of us in this lifetime. Beyond the 3D trap. When I say 3D, I'm not just talking about solid matter and time-space reality. I'm talking about a mindset, a manufactured consensus reality that's been deliberately programmed. Think of it as the operating system of the collective sleep state. People in 3D reality trust the media. They trust Big Pharma. They trust their priest, their doctor, their elected officials. They trust the school system and the government, despite overwhelming evidence that these institutions are rigged to siphon our life force and keep us tame. They're what society calls normal, and they follow the rules. Sport events are their religion. They fill out their forms, they vaccinate on schedule, they go to church on Sunday and consume their daily dose of sanitized news without a hiccup. Beneath it all is a refusal to question the structure they live inside. That's what keeps them stuck. It's not the sports or the religion or enabling relationships that change them. It's the inability or unwillingness to see beyond the illusion. They're still asleep in the matrix, dreaming someone else's dream. 4D, Shadow Playground. Fourth dimension is trickier. This is where things start to bend and blur. The veil gets thinner. The psychic static gets louder. You begin to sense energies, entities, old wounds that live in your field. Welcome to the land of spiritual detox. It's often glamorized as an awakening, but make no mistake, this realm is booby-trapped. The fourth dimension is a psychological hall of mirrors. It's where the darkness dances in your peripheral vision. It's also where the worst of the astral parasites operate. The soul-sucking false light beings, the distorted serpentine frequencies, the ascended ones with hidden hooks. This is where you confront the trauma, the ego death, the seductive loops of shadow work that never quite resolve. Now, some people insist this is a necessary passage, that we must do our time in 4D before we earn our way out. I call that cosmic gaslighting. That may be their path, but it doesn't have to be mine or yours. I chose something different. I didn't skip the healing, but I didn't sign up for endless purging rituals and inner exorcisms either. I chose to evolve through clarity, not chaos, through discernment, not endless emotional flailing. You don't have to crawl through the underworld in order to wake up. Not unless you're still addicted to pain as proof of growth. Now we enter the territory of 5D, what I consider the first real taste of freedom. This is the state of being where you've unplugged from the matrix and stopped looking to false authorities for your truth. It's not about floating in a bliss bubble or performing spiritual perfection. It's about standing tall in your being, clear perception, unshakable resonance with the laws of Source. In 5D, you know who you are, even if you can't always explain it. You feel energy as clearly as sound or scent. You recognize distortion instantly. You walk into a room and sense what's off. You know when someone is lying, even if they're smiling sweetly. You can smell deception, sometimes literally. I've had moments, especially while house hunting, where I'd be scrolling through listings and suddenly catch the stench of mold, rot, or desperation wafting through the screen. My body would recoil before my brain had even registered the data. That's 5D frequency discernment. It's subtle, but it's unmistakable. In this dimension, you don't just believe in vibration, you live it. You become acutely aware of the frequency of words, of food, of environments, of people. You stop consuming garbage because you feel it degrades your field. You stop engaging in meaningless conversation. You stop compromising your essence just to get along. You stop playing small. The downside? It can get lonely. Your tolerance for mediocrity collapses. You can't pretend you care about the Super Bowl or celebrity gossip. You can't sit through sitcoms or political debates without feeling like you're being lobotomized. You feel deeply, but selectively. That's the point. You are no longer broadcasting your energy in all directions, hoping to be loved. You are intentional. You are encoded with purpose. This isn't a hierarchy. It's a frequency map. Anyone can climb it. Anyone can pivot. All the same, you cannot fake your way into 5D. You have to shed the layers, not wear them more convincingly. You have to burn the false self to ash and listen to the soul that's been whispering underneath all along. When you finally let go of the comforting lies and face the raw, unsanitized truth, you realize that the 5D state was never out there waiting. It was always within you, waiting for you to rebel. Navigating the dimensions. Jane says, I think we're fully in the fourth dimension demonic war, but I feel like I can just banish the interference and they don't get to Wi-Fi me. I'm sure we've all got the hardware in us, regardless of whether we've been vaxxed or not. I respond, yes, as far as I'm concerned, I left 3D a long time ago and went straight to 5D. It's not ego, it's alignment. Not everyone understands that kind of skip step because they're still entangled in the drama of the fight. I don't battle demons. I don't play in their frequency field. If they want a war, they can have one, but not on my bandwidth. That includes the fallout from the vax, the 5G spider web, and the graphene trickery they've embedded into the human biome like sleeper code. It's real, yet so is my choice to remain in integrity. I choose not to weaken myself by fighting shadows. I strengthen by vibrating above them. We're in a planetary reboot, a full spectrum clearing. Everything false is being exposed. This isn't just spiritual theory. This is boots on the ground frequency warfare. The most dangerous thing they fear? A human who refuses to give away their inner authority. Jane says, so what are we supposed to be doing? I think we know, but how do we navigate being in 5D, helping out, and yet not letting it affect us? I respond, honestly, I think we're doing it. We're navigating better than most. We're tracking the energies without being swallowed by them. Let's be clear, it's a bizarre position to hold. We're not in the 3D system anymore, yet we still walk through its remnants daily. We smell the rot, we hear the distortion, we see the hypnotized masses. Still, we don't fall for it. That's the work. Every single so-called intel provider, guru type, or spiritual whistleblower out there, I already know what they're going to say. I tune in, and within seconds, I sense the pattern. Some of them mean well. Some are on the payroll. Some are just recycling trauma porn because they haven't healed their own. It's not nonsense. It's just no longer news. We've outgrown the noise. What does interest me, what gives me hope, is the subtle uprising of unity. The quiet, steady dismantling of division. I see people, not ideologies, rising. I see a hunger for coherence that transcends identity and programmed loyalties. This isn't about sides. It's not about tribes. It's not about who started what or who suffered more. That's their trap. This is about all of us, the entire species. If we keep falling for binary thinking, we'll never break the loop. So yes, when people step forward and say, this is about liberation for all, not just justice for one, I know we're making headway. When the false narratives start to crack, when the media's spell begins to fail, I feel the grid loosen. That's what I'm watching for. Jane says, I agree. I said to somebody recently who was questioning the yes-no vote, which we all had here in Australia, with the Indigenous being recognized in the Constitution. I said, we have to learn to get along. Until we can do that, the rest of it is just smoke and mirrors. I love that we're seeing people step up. There was this cute little meme that popped up the other day that said, I'm not pro-Russia. I'm not pro-Ukraine. I'm not pro-Israel. I'm not pro-vax. I'm not pro-anti. And listed all the different divisions ending with, I'm pro-people. I think that articulates what you're saying in a different way. Moving past 4D, Jane says, I'm fascinated that you jumped 4D. I say, well, my mom and I have had this perpetual back and forth on whether or not I did skip 4D, and I'm maintaining that I did. She says, but everyone has to go through it. It's part of the process. I push back. Who says? Who laid down that rule? Some galactic guidance counselor handing out worksheets? This is the very kind of conditioning we're here to disrupt. Just because something's been widely accepted or repeated ad nauseum doesn't mean it's truth. A lot of so-called process is actually just programming. Now, I'm not saying that's what that was. It is a rule that needs to be examined, just like every rule. So why does anyone have to crawl through hell to earn light? Why must pain be the toll booth to evolution? I reject that premise. I've already endured the dark night of the soul. I've done my underworld tour. I have no interest in a lifetime pass to purgatory. The cult of suffering runs deep on this planet, and I call it out every time I see it. What made me draw the line, my significant other at the time, the twin flame, was battling in 4D realms while he slept. Real warfare, not metaphoric. Full-on astral combat. He'd wake up with literal bruises, scratches, wounds on his body from whatever he'd been doing in the dream space. Some of the things he shared were horrifying. Dark entities, dismemberments, energy traps. And yet he insisted this was part of the process. To me, that was the final straw, the death knell for my tolerance of the entire dimension's mythology. I decided in no uncertain terms, I will not participate in that paradigm. I will not train in the dark dojo. I will not fight in the shadows to prove I deserve the light. I am the light. As a result, I did what I do best. I chose. I chose to anchor myself in 5D, or whatever you want to call it, and move forward from there. My 5D self isn't perfect. It's human, yes, but it is committed. It strives to remain in forward motion, rooted in unconditional love and spiritually connected authority. I'm not saying I never slip. We all get triggered. When I do, I see it as a spotlight flashing on a wound. Oh, look, there's the bullseye. Better clear that. Jane says, I remember when I was on a Zoom with these allegedly beautiful humanitarians. One of the men said, when we talk to XYZ person, we need to be speaking in 3D language. I thought to myself, you patronizing sod. That statement is contradictory to what I believe 5D is, and you've just outed yourself. That kind of talk is a short tip-off that you've got a lot of healing still to do. Thank you for listening to this excerpt. Now, seeing the system is one thing. Refusing to comply with it is another. What if ascension isn't for the enlightened, but for the unwilling to comply? In the next chapter, learn how ascension is energetic sovereignty, not spiritual escape.